Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy New Year. Thank you so much for virtually joining us on this fine January evening. And thank you so much for helping us celebrate the launch of Untethered's special help-themed issue. My name is Elena, and I will be your host tonight. This small but mighty issue is filled with 16 gorgeous pieces by 13 writers and was curated by our Volume 13 team. Poetry editor, Elena Bentley, guest fiction editor, Tanisha Khan, and nonfiction editor, Stephanie McKechnie, with the help of our fantastic team of volunteers, including first readers Conyer Clayton, Hollay Ghadery, Sarah Hilton, Mike Maddell, Jessica Ann Robinson, Paul Degonasev, Tommy Greaves, Lana Hall, Hannah Mason, and Anna Ralph, copy editors Claire Davis, Emily Menery, and Rachel Panico, and proofreaders C.E. Hoffman and Kendall Rude. Please give a special shout out to Stephanie McKechnie, who is behind the scenes, making sure the Zoom runs smooth. Hello, Steph. Say hello. We have a fantastic lineup of readers for you tonight, but before we dive in to the scrumptious readings, I have a few housekeeping things to mention. Firstly, if you haven't ordered a copy, got some behind me, Volume 13, there's still time. It's a limited print run, so you'll want to get yours before we run out. Secondly, if you've ever been to an Untethered launch, you know our launch raffle is highly anticipated. So while you're over on the virtual launch hub, picking up your copy of Volume 13, why not grab some raffle tickets? We've got 10 amazing prizes to be won, so you have a pretty good chance of winning. Those prizes are some incredible chapbooks, full-length collections and subscriptions. Our list includes a reproduction print by Volume 13 featured artist Jed Toejam, one-year subscriptions to The Fiddlehead, CV2, and Room, which we have 2 of those available. We had 2 chapbooks donated by Jack Pine Press, Coda Fluttertongue 7 by Stephen Ross Smith, and Lines of Demarcation by Lena Ramona Vitkoskis. 2 memoirs donated by our Volume 13 contributors, Hollay Ghadery, who donated Fuse, Guernica Editions Mirrorland 2021, and Kelly S. Thompson's Girls Need Not Apply, McMillan and Stewart 2019. And finally, also another Volume 13 contributor, Susan Alexander's 2020 poetry collection, Nothing You Can Carry, from Thistledown Press. We'll put some links in the chat to make it, as easy as possible for you to go over and grab those tickets. We're also really pleased to tell you that we have prints available from our featured artist, Jed Toejam. He has 20 prints available for $25 each. If you're interested, we will set that up on our website. But until then, if you absolutely have to have a print, just email us and we'll get that to you. Lastly, just some Zoom etiquette, which I'm sure we're all tired of hearing by now. If you can, have your camera on. But of course, no pressure. So we're not performing into the screen abyss. Don't forget to use the chat function. Show your jazz hands, clap, snap your fingers, put up your clapping emoji, and show the contributors as much love as you can tonight. Please note that we are recording the launch, and we'll share that on our YouTube channel later. But don't worry, we're spotlighting readers, so you won't be on the screen unless you're reading. Closed captions have been made available. To turn on that function, just click the CC icon at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Okay, with all that out of the way, if you've just joined us, let me say welcome again to the virtual launch party for Volume 13, our special help-themed issue. Say hello in the comments and let us know where you're watching from. We're really proud of this issue. It's very slim and small, but the voices and the artwork demand attention. They demand to be heard. I have to tell you that selecting our theme wasn't an accident. Untethered needs your help. Over the past 8 years, Untethered's tiny team has lovingly labored over 13 print issues, featuring an eclectic mix of quality prose, poetry, visual art, and those strange beings in between. On a next to nothing budget provided to us by the sheer generosity of our readers. Like many other small unfunded arts organizations, the pandemic hit us hard and we are broke. But we're not giving up. So in order for Untethered to continue on as, quote, one of the most disarming lit megs out there, we need the help of our community. So please submit to submission calls, like and share our posts on social media, advertise with us on our website, donate, order back issues, grab a subscription, come to our launch events, and please tell your friends about us. And of course, buy raffle tickets. Help us keep doing what we do. Unfortunately, guest fiction editor Tanisha Khan couldn't be here with us tonight, but she sent me this message to read to you. Hey folks, this is Tanisha speaking to you from the Void. Volume 13 is live, and I'm happy to know so many of you have gathered to celebrate its launch. While I'm not present, sorry, I can assure you I'm vibrating in my shoes somewhere. I'm ecstatic you will have a chance to hear words that made me feel glad to be fiction editor for this volume, words which reminded me of my love for lit mags, especially Untethered. Thank you to all the writers, artists, editors, and readers who poured their efforts into this volume. It's been a pleasure. Now sit back and listen. So with the words of Tanisha, let's get started. First up this evening on our virtual stage is Tikva Hecht. Tikva is a poet and editor. Her work can be found in CV2, Canadian Literature, Grain, and Modern Literature, among other publications. Please give a warm welcome to Tikva.
Hi, thank you. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. Yeah, I'm so excited to be here and starting this reading off. I'm going to start by reading the poem that was published in Untethered, and then I'm going to read a couple poems from my manuscript, which should actually be coming out sometime in the next year. So that's very exciting to share that with you. Okay, so this is the poem which was published in the volume, and it's called She Tells Me She Has Suicidal Thoughts. So many, so many. So this was where her voice lay low these past weeks. And now they imitate the waves that rush to us. First time at the ocean, jeans rolled to the thick of our calves and still. It wasn't long before we wore a sample of the ocean's body, clothes heavy as a child, swinging from our necks. We sat like happy things who had never forsaken movement, and language was a tonic of breath and salt and a pulse impatient with life, brimming with life, with only sound for what we knew by heart, saying over and only, so beautiful, over and again, as if words could imitate the rush of waves, carry us where they might. The next poem is called Psalm. I don't know what to do with just rain, such sacred sweeping grace, an alternative to tangled beauty. I don't know. What more would I want than to gather grain when the season comes, turn it to bread, eat if I could? Wouldn't I want to touch my God if I could, find an alternative to faith? I don't know. And this next one is called The Disposition of Cannibals. Suck out the marrow, you say, but don't pray to it. The empty bone and the shiver, that's the good stuff. You say what's left after appetite has expired, after hope has turned. That's the good stuff. You say the only wisdom you can stomach. We are here, nothing else to do but be. The truth is, you faint in the awe of stillness, in the awe of loneliness, same as I do. Same as I collect despair in its tiniest form, a flickering breath, punch holes for it in the top of a mason jar, so it may live a few days, dressing a nostalgic scene, because such is beauty, all that is powerful, all that floors us. The truth is, I still long for the glimmer and sorrow of an infinite heart, crafted from the finest materials of an enchanted world, unfettered by cravings or the cold. I imagine this longing as the tips of glass wings skimming the warmest fertile havens of an unaffected earth, mounds of dirt upended and still, pristine. But the truth is, I ripped my mother from the inside to get a taste of this world. and got away with it because I cried out of hunger. And I'm going to do one more. This is called The Angel Made in My Thoughts Sings of the Man with Paper Wings. And this is actually playing off of, so I just want to find where I have the line. So sorry. Yeah, this is playing off a line that comes from the liturgy, from the Yom Kippur service liturgy. Well, actually from a prayer that's traditionally said before the service. And this was written by Rabbi Avraham Danzig. And it's alas, for with better thoughts, I would have been able to create holy angels. So I have a series of poems that plays with that idea of thoughts creating angels. And this is called The Angel Made of My Thoughts Sings of the Man with Paper Wings. The man with paper wings, oh, the man with paper wings, knows so many, many interesting things. He knows where moths gather under melancholic light and what exactly are the differences between 86 varieties of flight. He calls the moths iridescent. Their flight is his favorite. He calls it just short of stillness. Elation, he says, must be like this, but I don't know if he is asking or commanding. Once I tell him I landed squarely on a just opened oven door. And later he asked me, it hurt. And just before, I wanted to see someone in a different room. He wants to believe I am the memory of that someone in the different room. I want to believe in the morning the grass will be the color of these moths and will chime. Nobody gets everything they want. As the sky darkens, as movement darkens, as the eye splits, I scrape his measure into mine. You know, there are days I do not like to fly. I say this to make him happy. It doesn't. I would recognize myself anywhere, he says, by the back of my absence. That's the end. Thank you so much.
That was gorgeous. Thank you so much, Tikva. I can't wait to read the rest of these poems. I love that concept, thoughts into angels. That's beautiful. So I look forward to seeing or reading more from you. Our next reader is Susan Alexander. Susan Alexander is the author of 2 poetry collections, Nothing You Can Carry and The Dance Floor Tilts, both with Thistledown Press. Her work has won multiple awards, most recently the 2022 Vancouver City Poem Contest. She also received the 2019 Mitchell Prize. Susan currently hosts In Verse, the monthly reading series for the Federation of BC Writers. Her poems appear in anthologies and literary magazines in Canada, the United Kingdom, and the United States, and have ridden the bus as part of Poetry in Transit. She lives on Nuchelaquam, Bowen Island, in British Columbia, the traditional and unceded territory of the Squamish people. Please welcome Susan.
Hello there, Untethered, Elena and your crew and all the other contributors who are here this evening and the audience. I'm delighted to be part of this magazine and this evening. Without further ado, I'm going to I'm going to read one of my poems in the magazine. This one is a poem of address or an apostrophe. It's just a little poem. And it's after a poem by Denise Levertov. The title of the poem is To Angst. To Angst. I should not treat you like a wasp caught at my window, banging your aggressive head at a sky so bright you can't help but fly at it. I don't like you crawling along the invisible surface that shields me from heat and storm, wind and rain. I want to crush you with my pretty book of poems. Hear that exoskeletal crunch. I will not coax you into a cup, slide thick paper under to hold you. I don't want to let you out where you will touch antennae with your sisters, greet each other's singular faces. You could be my teacher. You could show me the ways I spook myself. Sting me. Thank you so much.
Excellent reading. Thank you so much, Susan. Susan actually has another poem in this issue called Nephew at a Wedding Reception. So that's another sign that you should pick up a copy so that you can read Susan's second poem. Our next reader to the virtual stage is M.E. Boothby. M.E. Boothby is a neuroqueer, temporary, human-shaped assemblage of matter and microorganisms created in Ontario, but currently existing in St. John's, Newfoundland, on the traditional territory of the Beothuk and the Mi'kmaq. She has been published in Ultraviolet, Collective Reflections, Lake Effect 7 and 8, with upcoming work in Gothic Nature. She is writing a creative thesis of speculative fiction at Memorial University of Newfoundland, with a special interest in non-human imaginings. She has a soft spot for monsters, mycorrhizal fungi, sassy cephalopods, and other misunderstood entities. Please welcome M.E.
Hello, everybody. I'm big on the screen now. Wow. I'm just going to read from my piece that's in the magazine, which is called Sick Rats in the Apocalypse. It started as an essay that was assigned during an apocalyptic fiction class that I was taking during COVID, so it was very timely. And the assignment was to write about our experience during COVID with thoughts of apocalyptic narrative. So that will perhaps provide some context. At the peak of the COVID-19 pandemic, I live in Ottawa with a roommate, Laura, in a dingy basement apartment with 6 small pets and only one window. The pets do not mind the cramped space. They seem to enjoy being cozy in a burrow with us, having our large, ungainly bodies perpetually present. I have a rescue rabbit, Matilda, who lives free range in my bedroom and uses a litter box like a cat, and 3 gerbils, for whom I built a multi-level enclosure with a terrarium at the bottom for digging tunnels. Laura has 2 pet rats, Poppy and Emmy Lou, who are elderly and unwell. This is not because she cares for them poorly, but because in our age of animal mills and mass market pet stores, almost all fancy rats come with some genetic predisposition for cancer and respiratory illness. Laura and I love these 6 small beings. Being in a burrow is not an unappealing thought to either of us. It is winter, which is a bitter, icy contraction of this city laboring to deliver a distant springtime. This is a city where it regularly reaches negative 30 degrees Celsius, where ice creeps through to the inner doorknobs and window panes of poorly insulated buildings. It is dark by 4 p.m. or even sooner in our underground hovel, and we are constantly startled by spiders or house centipedes scuttling out of shadowy corners. Sometimes Matilda wakes me in the middle of the night with a frightened hindfoot thump, and I turn on the light only to find some desperate arachnid frozen in its beam. I scoop it up in a tissue because, apparently, I have been awoken as the designated protector. In the burrow, we watch each other's backs. We do not go out. It's COVID time and there is nowhere to go. The violent cold and the lockdown come together to make tight the knots of the net in which we are snared. We hole up, and while the wind pushes several feet of snow down the impassable street, Laura and I watch apocalypse movies and discuss the end of the world. In darkness lit by the slideshow of images on the Chromecast, blue, yellow, pink places we'll never go, we sketch out plans of how we would get back to our families if a full collapse began, how we'd transport the animals, how we'd survive. We are only half speculating. Sitting side by side on a futon in which Matilda has chewed a few small holes, the thought of apocalypse does not scare Laura and I as much as perhaps it should. We have come of age in a time where the end of days of popular imagination has gradually become more fact than fiction. We have never had the option of being willfully ignorant. To us, the apocalypse was always coming. The apocalypse is already here, and there is nowhere to go. Our generation is often critiqued for its apathy. And yes, perhaps many of us have grown hopeless, but I would argue that hopelessness is not apathy. We're not indifferent. Our idealism has been grown down by bureaucracy and politics, wait lists and budgets. Each night we weather visions of innocents murdered, of ice caps melting and wildfires burning, the slow violence of our deaths already underway. This is grief, not laziness. Without faith in the girders of long broken human systems, we, the young, are left asking ourselves, what can I really do? What is within my negligible power? In the paralysis of the global pandemic, many of us have come to rest like an empty shell drifting down to the seafloor in the realm of the small. What small good can I put out into the world today? What small help? We can only do what we can do. And so Laura and I care for sick rats. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, ME. Your piece fit the issue so perfectly. And I love how it opens up questions of help. Who gets, who receives, what happens when we deny it. So I think it was perfect. Thank you so much. Up next, to the virtual stage is Hollay Ghadery. Hollay Ghadery is a multi-genre writer living in rural Ontario on Anishinaabe land. She has her MFA in creative writing from the University of Guelph. Her fiction, nonfiction, and poetry have been published in various literary journals and magazines, including the Malahat Review, Room, Carousel, This, the Antigonish Review, Grain, and the Fiddlehead. Fuse, her memoir of mixed race identity and mental health, was released by Guernica Editions' Mirrorland imprint in spring 2021. Her debut collection of poetry, Rebellion Box, is due out with Radiant Press in spring 2023. Please help me welcome Hollay to the virtual stage.
Hi everyone, I'm Hollay Ghadery, and today I'm going to be reading an excerpt from my short story Shalimar, which is published in this issue of Untethered. Thank you so much to everyone on Untethered for putting together this issue and for accepting this piece. Thank you also to everyone for listening. Shalimar. Mitra and I sat in her kitchen, the samovar steaming and bubbling between us, and she told me about her latest appointment. They don't know what's wrong. Don't know or don't believe me, and I don't know what's worse, Junam. I placed my hand over hers, her cool, thin skin, her gold rings choking bloated fingers, her duckling yellow sweater. She wore it often, and it usually made her glow. That day, 2 months ago, she looked sallow, the dark circles under her eyes darker. Karim was in the backyard with Gil, showing Gil the robin's nest in the rafters of their grandkids' treehouse. I strained hot tea through my teeth while Mitra clucked her tongue and waved her hand at the sweets in front of us. Baklava, dried fruits, fresh dates. I don't eat this. I haven't eaten this in years. I eat very little and very healthy, but, she pats her belly, I look like a souffle. Today the bed is covered in Mitra's blouses, skirts, and dresses. Her shoes are lined up against the wall under the big window that overlooks the backyard. Karim uses his foot to nudge one of her red pumps parallel with its partner. His hands are shoved in his pockets and his shoulders round forward, as if he's being swallowed whole. Only Mitra's dressing table looks undisturbed. An ivory Bakelite vanity set, a silver heart-shaped trinket box, a bottle of perfume. Despite being neighbors for 11 years, I've only been in their bedroom once, to change Gil's diaper when he was still in them. I don't remember the dressing table exactly, but I remember the powdery scent of Mitra was denser here. Amber, vanilla, leather. Shalimar, Karim says, his back still to me, but he's turned his head so I can see him in profile. He nods his chin towards her dressing table. The perfume. Yes, I nod back, though I didn't really know its name before. I can sometimes forget her in other rooms of the house for a moment. He turns to stare out the window again, but not here. The air between us is golden, flecked with dust, steeped in saffron tea. I step toward the bed and run my hand over a fur coat, the color of caramel. Mink. Karim turns toward me and places a hand on the dark pine post of their bed. The bed is a cozy double, with white crystal eyelet throw pillows piled on a china blue comforter. I picture Karim and Mitra under it, the soft mounds of their bodies, their nightclothes hiked up, and limbs intertwined. Thank you very much again for listening, and I hope everyone has a wonderful evening. Take care.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Hollay. I especially love the economy of language. Every word matters in that flash piece. And my favorite is the olfactory details, all the smells. I love it. Thank you so much. Before we go on to the next reader, let me just take a moment to thank all the readers who have shared their work so far. So let's just give them some jazz hands, clap. Thank you so much. And in case you arrived late, this is your reminder, another reminder, to head over to that virtual launch hub and grab a copy of Volume 13 and pick up some raffle tickets. Don't forget, it's 1 ticket for $2, 3 tickets for $5, or Steph's long ass arm's length of tickets for $10. And folks, Steph's arms, there Steph is. Huh. Look at that arm. See? Perfect. That's 15 tickets, so it's definitely the best deal. Raffle tickets will be on sale until the end of today, and we'll be pulling for prizes tomorrow evening, and we'll email the winners to select their prize. So first come, first serve. Whoever gets back to us gets their pick of the prizes. Okay. Next up is Kelly S. Thompson. Dr. Kelly S. Thompson is an award-winning writer and holds an MA and PhD in creative writing. Kelly has published widely, with essays appearing in Chatelaine, Maclean's, The Globe and Mail, and more. Her military memoir, Girls Need Not Apply, was an instant national bestseller. Please give a warm welcome to Kelly.
Thank you so much. I feel like I'm looking very angelic because the light overhead it's just coming on down. Anyways, so I'm gonna turn off my very noisy heater. I'm gonna read to you. I'm gonna actually read my poem, but I'm also shamelessly going to read the back cover copy because the poem is based on my book that's coming out in just a couple of weeks. Actually, it was supposed to be the 31st of January, but now it's the 14th of February. But there is a Toronto launch at Caversham Books in Toronto on the 6th of February, if anyone's there. So it's about my sister. So I thought I would just read the back cover copy so that you all had a little flavor of my my poem afterwards. So here's the back. Kelly Thompson and her older sister Megan are proof that sisterhood doesn't always equate to friendship. Growing up within a military family, the girls were close despite being temperamental opposites. Kelly, anxious and studious, looked to her big sister for comfort, and Megan, who battled kidney cancer as a toddler, was gregarious and protective. But as she approached adulthood, Megan spiraled into a cocaine and opioid addiction, and Kelly's relationship with her was torn apart. Their paths diverge as they live their own lives, and it's only when Megan becomes a mother that she and Kelly tentatively face past hurts and re-examine what sisterhood really means. But their reunion is threatened when Megan receives a shocking new diagnosis on a day that should be one for celebration. Now, as the family reels at the prospect of the biggest loss imaginable, Kelly and Megan must share all that they can in the time that they have, using their mutual sense of humor to chart a course through the darkest of days. At once funny and heartbreaking, Still I Cannot Save You is a story about addiction, abuse, and tragedy, but above all, it is a powerful portrait of an enduring love between sisters. It's not a joyous book, if I'm honest, just just to prep you, should you pick it up. But there is a lot of love and a lot of macabre humor in there, should you like this kind of thing. So my poem is called This is Death's Elegy, which might also give you a hint about the end of that book, just saying. This is Death's Elegy, a love poem. What are sisters for? Let's fight emotion in your funeral order form. Familiar chubby cursive, tiny hearts checking scant boxes, bare bones for your bones. Crack open ribs to find the funny one. Dainty forefinger and thumb pluck at the t-shirt I made you. Making cancer my bitch since 1982. Those black words bolded, winking a sea green eye with oceanic tears. Let's aim high, encourage astronaut dreams, a bucket list to be proud of. Travel to places with coconut trees and mangoes frozen in time. Drink sanity with mojitos, set our bodies to balter until your wound parts like an open mouth, stitches burping pearls of blood. And we'll laugh at this, at the maracas rattling an anthem to our misread celebration. Let's play pretend. Remember when it was easy? We were She-Ra and He-Man, magic swords slicing through good and bad, alighting a universe where your hair still bounces, cellulite buckles on meaty thighs, skin tinted peach instead of puce, and you'll heal through sheer force of will because we lean into overripe ballad lines drizzled on caviar. Let's hold hands for this next part. Your absence forms cast iron anvils in my guts. You bubbled lies into potions that executrix duties could stave swells of whys and hows and one last times, squinting into the kaleidoscope of phosphenes, riding morphine ponies until my own eyelids seal. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Absolutely beautiful poem. And thank you so much for sharing the blurb, your back cover blurb. I can't wait to read it. Thank you so much. Shamelessly continue to plug, put the link in the chat so we can all find it if you want. That's amazing. Again, if you're in Toronto, head to that launch. Thank you. Our next reader is Samantha Louie-Poon. Samantha Louie-Poon is a settler of Chinese ancestry based in Edmonton, Alberta. As a nurse, researcher, and writer, Samantha is passionate about storying the untold narratives of the Asian diasporas in so-called Canada. Samantha is currently a PhD candidate at the University of Alberta, where she is documenting the experiences of anti-Asian racism using storytelling methods. Through poetry, Samantha explores concepts of Asianness, belonging, and erasure, and invites readers to contemplate these tensions within taken for granted spaces. Please help us welcome Samantha to the stage.
Hi everyone, my name is Samantha Louie-Poon. I'm a settler of Chinese ancestry, and I'm speaking to you today from Treaty 6 territory. My poem today was written in response to the tragic events of the Atlantis Ball shooting that took the lives of 6 Asian women back in 2021. And the Asian woman experience in North America is a complex one, with so many intersecting forces of oppression and violence, including gendered racism. And unfortunately, these narratives are often erased into nothing. So this poem today is dedicated to the lives that were taken too soon and all the Asian women who were forced to process these events alone, and really as a way to stand in solidarity with those whose pain and trauma are consistently silenced. For my sisters of the Asian diasporas, when our existence evolves into water leaking down sister's cheek, we then recount our steps, musing every thought that led us here. They did this. Our mundane tasks they diligently exoticized. Our struggles they ceaselessly sexualized. Our bodies, authorized, owned by men who take day trips along the curves of our spine, enough to tender our limbs, becoming unraveled. Bones shatter beneath the impenetrable weight. They break and remodel our marrow into a submissive beast that lingers in the mirror when naked. Our flesh becomes their place for pleasure excursions and cheap labor. They tame us caged in a stranger's body. We perform for the white gaze. Our fragmented cries fester with nowhere to escape, vanishing our last desire for selfhood. Helplessly, we relearn the foreignness of our bodies, every crevice, curve, and scar, markers convincing us we were objects to be fetishized by wandering white eyes. After 10,000 more of our bodies civilized, we became relics only archaeologists uncovered. They wondered how our bones laid scattered beneath Earth's surface, invisibly marked, anti-Asian hate crime, our deaths not etched into blank pages of the state's history books. But we know.
Thank you, Samantha. Very powerful. I love that poem. And I appreciate the music as well. That was really lovely to listen to. So thank you so much for sharing that with us. Our next reader is Leah Duarte. Leah Duarte is a Portuguese-Canadian poet and fiction writer, a graduate of the University of Toronto's MA in English program. Her thematic interests are shaped by her experiences grappling with diasporic distance and the violence of female identity. Her recent work has appeared or is forthcoming in the Thames Review, the Four-Faced Liar, Thua Poetry Review, and elsewhere. She is the winner of the Grit-Lit 2022 Youth Flash Fiction Contest and is currently at work on her first poetry collection. Please help us welcome Leah to the stage.
Hi, everyone. Okay, great. So I'm going to read two poems today, the first of which was published in volume 13, and then the second of which is out of the poetry collection I'm working on about girls and monsters and other things that fall in between spaces. So first, I'm going to read one of my poems that is out of this issue, and then I'll go to the next one. So this is incomplete list of what I should have written on the bathroom wall before graduating from the all-girls Catholic school that raised me. Hey, redacted, in 7th grade, I thought you were going to kill me because you looked at me with nothing behind your eyes. I thought you would get away with it, so I made sure I was never alone with you. If you ever wondered why I kept at least one person between you, me, and every staircase, now you know. To the self-defense instructor who held out his hand for me to shake and then threw me down to the floor before he told us he was starting the lesson, I still remember when you came back 2 years later to teach the new 9th grade girls how to be afraid. I recognized you on the stairs because you still wore that watch. I walked the long way to class instead. Miss Redacted, I never trusted you again after you let it happen. Mr. Redacted, I remember you screaming at us to shut up more than I remember the awards ceremony. Was it our joy or our fear of you that made you so angry? Hey, Redacted, I was jealous of you too. How do you wear anger so loud? How do you make someone so afraid? If I let you hurt me, will you show me how to look at someone the way that means I will push you down the stairs so it looks like an accident? Mr. Redacted, thank you for the fun-size arrow bar from your desk drawer when I told you. I know you didn't know what to say, but that's okay. It wasn't really, but at least it tasted good. Hey, Redacted, did you know I'm 1/3 of the reason they lock the maintenance door under the staircase that leads nowhere? Did you know God lives in the boiler room? Did you know the sound and the sweat and the smell of hot concrete drown everything else out? Did you know I would break the lock just to stand in the dark again and feel it in my teeth? Hey, Redacted, if you did it and left me on the hot concrete, I would have come back. I would have taught you how to feel it in your teeth. Okay, this second one is called Mother Bird Wakes the Cabin, and it is about a giant monster bird who is the camp counselor at a girls' camp. Mother Bird shakes me awake an hour after head count, her feathers shuffling across the bridge of my nose. I follow her long, long legs across the cabin floor, socks wet with moonlight. The other girls yawning in a line. I'm ready first. I'm always ready first, and she tucks her wing around my warm, puffy body while we wait for the others to finish. She smells like wool and burnt marshmallows, and I want the others to stumble out into the snowdrifts, get lost for a while so she can be mine. She's light enough that she doesn't need snowshoes, and I follow the three-pronged path she weaves through the tricky places. She tells us to throw our heads back and tell the moon we love her, and tell a secret so loud no one will hear it. Girls sinking into wolf bodies to scream at the sky, swath of loose hair flowing down her back. She's as tall as the pine trees when she holds me. Snowshoes stumbling off the path. Coyotes scream back across the lake, scared and hungry like little girls. Mother Bird pulls them out one by one, beak tender against the scruffs of their necks. She asks me if I might want to join my friends next time, and I tell her maybe, and I press my face into the down against her side. The bonfire licks us dry. Mother Bird pulls the wilder ones away from the sparks, says she knows they're pretty, but they can hurt too. I stare until my eyes are dry and sore, but I don't touch. Mother Bird says it's okay to sleep a while, so I do. Thank you so much for the opportunity for being published. Thank you to everyone who put this issue together. It's been wonderful.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Leah. I really appreciate both those poems. Leah also has another poem in this issue, so do check that out. And it's the first one that Leah read is the little redacted pieces or black boxes, so it makes for a really visual poem as well. Our next reader is Doris Corcese. A former analyst, profiler, and researcher, Doris Corcese is a graduate of the 2017 Vancouver Manuscript Intensive Program and was runner-up in the Federation of BC Writers 2021 Creative Nonfiction Contest. In 2022, she was published in the Humber Literary Review and recently finished writing her novel. Please help us welcome Doris.
Hello, my name is Doris Corcese, and I'm going to read to you from my personal essay titled Hero. Make a wish, Lenny says. My favorite part, I close my eyes. And spin the cup. I spin the rosette teacup 3 times, as always. Lenny's eyes are a mysterious blue on this brilliant August morning as she studies the tea leaves swirled into delicate patterns to reveal the future. Lots of birds here. What does that mean? I ask. Birds in flight. A change is coming. A change. Is that good? Her eyes flicker. Birds are usually a good sign, but yours are flying at the bottom of the cup. That could mean danger. She stands, ending the reading, and stuffs 2 $5 bills in my hand, my payment for babysitting. Straight home. It's early, but just to be on the safe side. Your dad, you know. I know. I'm 12 years old and Dad doesn't approve of my babysitting, especially not overnight. Last night was his pub night, and Mom allowed me to stay at Lenny's with strict orders to be home early in the morning. On weekends, Dad sleeps until 10 or 11 or sometimes noon. His thing is, good Italian girls belong at home. But I've earned enough from my babysitting jobs to open a bank account and buy a stack of Trixie Belden mysteries, a load of comic books, and best of all, a red air mattress to take to the lake. On the sidewalk that stretches a half mile from the public swimming pool to the railway tracks, I step over the dividing lines in the concrete and chant, "Step on a crack, break your mother's back." Few people live on this side of town, and there isn't a person or a car in sight. All is still, except for the flutter of a white butterfly and the rustle of birds in trees. I think about the birds in my teacup. Every morning, robins descend on our lawn, heads cocked to the ground, ready to pluck up fat earthworms from the dew. But Lenny's reading wasn't about real birds. She read my poem once too and said that I'll have 2 marriages, and I'll be a good woman, but a stubborn one. I like the idea of being a good woman. As for marriage, Dad tells me that no Italian boy will ever marry me if I don't learn to cook. For that reason, I don't wish to learn. The hot sun has started to soften the swatches of black tar that checker the road here and there. Ripples of heat rise up from the pavement. I pick up a handful of caramel rocks and examine their fine lines. Most of the rocks I collect are agates and jaspers, souvenirs from the river. There, beneath the glassy surface, the rocks gleam. But when dried and stored in a box, their luminosity fades and they become dull and jagged. Today would be a perfect river day, but I'd rather bike to the lake with my cousin. We'll float out to the wharf on my air mattress and ride the waves from the passing speedboats. First, I'll stop at Tom's confectionery for comics and candy. Then I remember that Dad doesn't work today and I won't be allowed to go anywhere. I slam the stones to the ground. Thank you for listening.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Doris. I highly recommend, again, grabbing a copy so you can read the entire story. Same thing with, Emmys and Hollay's, all those longer pieces we don't have time to hear it all tonight. So pick up a copy so you can read everything in their entirety. Our final performer, our final reader tonight is Alexander Hollenberg. Alexander Hollenberg is a Canadian writer and professor of narrative theory whose work can be found in such journals as Riddle Fence, Poetica Magazine, the Literary Review of Canada, and English Studies in Canada. In 2021, his suite, Cod Jigging Near Twillingate, was longlisted for the CBC Poetry Prize, and most recently, 2 of his poems were shortlisted for the Fiddlehead's Ralph Gustafson Poetry Prize. Please welcome Alex to the virtual stage.
Hi everybody, my name is Alexander Hollenberg. It's a real joy and honor to be a part of this today. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you really to the entire Untethered team for putting this together. It's such a wonderful, special thing to do. Some of my poetry is forthcoming in Grain, in the new Quarterly, in Prairie Fire. Some of it just recently appeared in the fall issue of Riddle Fence. So if you like what you hear, please check those journals out and support them for all the great work that they are doing. The poem I'm reading to you today is called No Room for Exiles. It's a response to County Cullen's poem For a Poet, where he writes, I have wrapped my dreams in a silken cloth, where long will cling the lips of the moth. I cannot touch your dreams, though maybe I can help to keep the moths away a little longer. My Booby's recipe of cedar shavings, lavender, and lemon balm, it seems to work. Your dreams will smell of garden, though pleasant, a simulacrum of the planting that never comes to pass, and a reminder of decaying things that make a garden grow. Her garden drawers repelled us, the scent affixing itself to the fact of old age, a threatening symbiosis dispersing us about the house, as if time would not infect us too, transmuted into remembering things. Hers were not dreams like yours, deferred, unpromised, but maybe their raiment, the bouquet of passenger manifests, yellow identity cards, and telegrams, a scattered testimony, both formless and formal. How ready we were to avoid those drawers, to sneer at any hint of cedar, exile ourselves in rooms and make no room for exiles in afternoon games, as if imagining the dreams of others, of you, of Booby, were not the stuff of childhood. Still we consume, always searching for the silk, the soft architecture of better dreamers, weavers of less earthly gardens. Thank you.
Love it. Thank you so much, Alex. It was the perfect ending to the issue. I have to, it paired, I thought, so well with Jed's image here. You can see there's a moth right smack in the middle. And so that, though maybe I can help to keep the moths away a little longer. I was like, chef's kiss, perfect. What a great pairing. So thank you so much, Alex, for sharing that poem with us. And so that's it. But don't run away just yet. Let me say a few more thank yous, and then you won't have to hear me ramble anymore for a while. So thank you to everyone who came out tonight and supported our readers, to our lovely contributors who, of course, made this issue possible, our readers and copy editors and proofreaders, all of these volunteers that make Untethered possible. It really is a labor of love. We love what we do, and it's such a privilege to get to do this. Our readers, of course, thank you to Jed Toejam for the art. A huge thank you to Stephanie McKechnie, Untethered co-founder and consulting editor, who of course helped work the tech side of things tonight, and for everything Stephanie does behind the scenes. Of course, Untethered would never have existed without you and wouldn't continue to exist without you. And I have to personal thanks to Steph for allowing me to kind of take the helm and steer the ship for this next little while. So thank you. Thank you to Tanisha, who came on as a special guest fiction editor. And finally, of course, thank you to all the donors who generously donated to our raffle draw. Segue there. Don't forget to head over to the Virtual Launch Hub. The links should be posted in the chat. So make sure you grab your copy, get a subscription, get some raffle tickets. Again, they'll be on sale till the end of the night. We're currently at work on our next issue, volume 14. So if you're not already following us, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, subscribe to the website, alwaysuntethered.com, to stay up to date on everything Untethered. And speaking of volume 14, a quick welcome, and I'm excited to work with them, Ghadery and Conyer Clayton, who are taking on the roles of fiction and nonfiction editors. So I'm really excited to be working with them. Okay, I rambled. What an amazing reading. I'm so thankful for this technology, and that we can have people from quite literally coast to coast all come together and share this reading. This is amazing. So readers, take a final bow. Let's give a final clap, snap to everybody. Yay, all the hands that love it. Thank you so much. We couldn't have done this without you. Stay tuned. We'll have this uploaded to YouTube shortly. So thank you very much. Have a fantastic night. Stay safe and take care.